Good evening. Hello, this is Neil Anderson with Envision Estate Planning. You are looking at video number 7 of my series of 30 in 30 days to begin 2023. Hope you've enjoyed some of my videos to date. And today we are going to talk about common mistakes people make when estate planning. First off, leaving no or zero written documentation of any of your assets. What happens when you do that? Well, your personal representative, whoever you've named, or your executor, or your trustee, has to try to track these down. Not always an easy task to do, and they're doing it with people who may be mourning your loss during a very, very stressful time. Not letting family members know where to find your important estate planning documents. Look, if they can't be found, it's like they never existed. So, family members, key family members, people you love, who you want to know, should know how to find your estate planning documents, where they are, and also they ought to know who the attorney that you worked with was, because that attorney will likely be somebody they may want to call upon to assist them with estate administration. Not naming a guardian for minor children. This one is absolutely huge for me. It is the one thing that I never, ever want to leave to chances. Who gets to raise my child if my wife and I cannot? And along the same lines, a common mistake that not only do people make when estate planning, but a common mistake that I think a lot of attorneys make when advising people on estate planning is not putting anything into place or anything into motion that names temporary custody for your children in the event of incapacity. You see, in two respects. Number one, the will only comes into effect after you pass on, and it will name a long-term guardian. So it is quiet and ineffective at telling people what your wishes are for who would care for your children if for some reason you can't make it home. If for some reason at any time there's an emergency, you're incapacitated, and you cannot make it home, who will care for your children? And also, if you've named a permanent or long-term guardian that is far away, it makes sense because there's going to be a bit of time before that person is appointed to be the long-term guardian, that you have a short-term caretaker in place. Here's one that's really, really easy. If you have a will. Let's say you have nothing else in place, but you have a will. And it talks about who your beneficiaries are and who is going to receive what percentage of your estate. Well, that's all well and good. The assets will get divided accordingly. But what about your personal possessions? You see, in my case, I don't have that many personal possessions, but I have one personal possession that I know who I want it to go to, and that's my baseball card collection. And it isn't my named beneficiaries. So creating a list, attaching it to your will, so that your personal representative or your executor knows your wishes and knows what to hold back and distribute to individuals that you have decided should take ownership of certain personal possessions. Not naming beneficiaries properly or at all, or secondary residual beneficiaries in retirement accounts, in other types of accounts, or life insurance policies. Not naming an alternative executor or trustee. And why is this important? Well, what if the person you named predeceases you? What if the person you named can't serve? You still want to have control, so everything should have redundancy in layers within an estate plan. That's at least 2 deep with almost anything that you do or anyone that you name. This one is huge for me, very huge, because this happened to my wife and I, which was that we sat down with an attorney, and this was before I was an attorney or practiced estate planning, so I was not very, very knowledgeable. And we signed all of our documents, and we felt good, and we created a trust for our newborn child with all of the right intentions. But we were left without a roadmap on how to fund the trust. We were left not really feeling any urgency to fund the trust. And at the end of the day, 10 years passed, or nearly 10 years, I'll say 8 years passed, and we realized that we had our will, we had our healthcare proxy, we had our durable power of attorney, and we had this great trust that was not worth the paper it was printed on. Do you know why? We never put any assets in. So making sure you put assets in that trust so that it works the way it's supposed to work for you and your family is very, very important, and it's a mistake that I really recommend you avoid. I spoke about this, actually this was the topic of one of my videos, but it is a mistake that people make is never updating their estate plan, letting it sit on a bookshelf or in a fireproof box somewhere. So not only maybe have you not told your family members where they can find it or how they can access it, but you've never updated it, and things have changed. So go back, look at the other video I did. It will talk about various life circumstances that might trigger you to think about dusting that estate plan off and having it reviewed, doing updates, or doing it anew. Lastly, the number one, and I mean the number one biggest mistake people make when estate planning is something that, believe it or not, according to some studies, 70% of Americans make this mistake. Are you ready for it? I'm going to drum roll. It is having no estate plan. That's right. Huge mistake to have no plan at all. And it's the biggest mistake people make. It's the most common mistake people make. And when you have no estate plan, you allow the court to make decisions about how your assets are distributed, about who gets to take care of you, or who has the power to make decisions on your behalf, about who gets to raise your children. So there you have it, folks. These are some common mistakes that people make in estate planning. I'm sure there are more. And I'm sure I'll be speaking more about this in future episodes. However, I'm going to leave you with this. It's my 7th video. If you like these, hit the like button, subscribe on my YouTube channel, share the videos, share the love. I would really, really appreciate it. I hope that what we're offering is helpful, and whatever time of day you're watching, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. We'll see you another time.